With the opposition benches unoccupied and Orange Walk East Representative Marcel Cardona quietly taking his seat in the far corner of the opposition side of the floor, the House of Representatives convened for the special sitting.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to introduce a bill for an act to amend the Electricity Act, Chapter 221 of the Laws of Belize, Revised Edition 2000-2003, to provide for assumption of control over electricity supply by the government in the public interest.
While the order papers indicated only 3 bills which had gone through the committee stages that were up for second and third readings, at the heart of today's sitting was the renationalization of Belize Electricity Limited.
This is the only way to assure the uninterrupted supply of all important electricity to our country. This is the only way to pay BEL's bills and the only way to avoid a sugar collapse and a general collapse.
In layman's terms, taking over BEL is the only way to save the country from being plunged into blackout. The plan is for the Barrow administration to assume full control of Belize Electricity Limited on Tuesday as the bill to amend the Electricity Act was pushed through Parliament today. Minister of Public Utilities Melvin Hulse is expected to sign the order for the expropriation of BEL on Tuesday.
This has to do only with the supervening circumstance of this immediate need to avert an electricity cutoff in Belize. Again, Mr. Speaker, today has nothing to do with philosophy or ideology. Even though the chief Fortis personality, Mr. Stan Marshall, has publicly displayed his contempt for Belizeans, it also has nothing to do with payback. Indeed, BEL is also owned by Fortis and is extremely valuable and profitable to Fortis. Just how valuable can be gleaned from a perusal of the minority judgment in the Privy Council Bakongo case. There was clear consternation among the law lords at the one-sidedness of some of the provisions of the agreement for Fortis's dam construction, no pun intended. But precisely because BEL is functioning well and there is no difficulty in its generation of electricity, there can be no reason to interfere with BEL and Fortis's ownership. In other words, Mr. Speaker, except for compelling, unavoidable public interest reasons, this government observes the sanctity of contracts.
In laying out the case for the renationalization, Prime Minister Barrow told the House that the acquisition of BEL is in the public interest because the company simply cannot pay its debts.
The current inability of BEL to pay for the electricity, which it is to transmit to the public, has been a developing story for some time now. But things started coming to a head when an SOS was called in to me at the end of April by Mr. Lin Yong, the CEO of BEL.
The Prime Minister said his government has been assisting as much as was possible by prepaying its monthly electricity bill to the tune of $2 million per month up to September of this year. But he says the lifeline under the current ownership is at an end, hence the reason for the government takeover.
And so, government is acting today by way of this bill. There is no alternative, and for all the reasons I have recited, we must now urgently take over BEL in the public interest. This bill is meant for now. It is not to provide for what may occur in the future, necessitating action then. It is to deal with what has already overtaken us, necessitating action presently. And that is because a situation has been reached with the Belize Electricity Limited, the sole supplier of electricity to the public in this country, which makes clear that BEL is currently unable to pay for the power that it must purchase in order to transmit electricity to the nation. Hence, this bill. And in order to commend its passage to the House and to the nation, let me now, Mr. Speaker, rehearse for the record the facts that have precipitated our action.
The Prime Minister made an extended presentation of what he described as the facts of the BEL crisis, including correspondences back and forth between the company's CEO Lin Young and government. BEL has been unable to meet its payment for electricity it buys from Comisión Federal de Electricidad of Mexico, BECOL, which is also owned by Fortis Incorporated of Canada, and Belcogen.
I understood Mr. Young to be saying that it was always government's intention to take over BEL, and that we have been acting and conspiring all along to produce today's result. Accordingly, the Public Utilities Commission was ever intent on frustrating and bankrupting BEL, and in this enterprise, the PUC was government's tool. Apart from being simply untrue and an insult to the very bright, very professional, very independent-minded people at the PUC, there are several things wrong with this case according to Fortis and Mr. Young. By BEL's own admission, I don't care what they call it, it is de facto insolvent, and one has only to look at the last annual report to recognize the extent of the long-term liabilities. And there are now these huge current bills for power that must be paid. No government in its right mind, and this is a government very much in its right mind, would want to take this on. Again, Mr. Young knows that I and the Cabinet strove to forge a way forward out of the impasse between BEL and the PUC. We had both sides to Cabinet. We had them make presentations, and we then offered suggestions as to a resolution.
Mr. Barrow says that what his government could not do was instruct the Public Utilities Commission to, in effect, buckle to the wishes of Fortis Incorporated. And when government takes over on Tuesday, the Prime Minister says the hundreds of employees of the company need not worry about their jobs, as government has no intentions to interfere with the employment of anyone who voluntarily chooses to stay with BEL.
No one at BEL need fear for their job. I have spoken to officials of the BEL Workers' Union, which fully supports government in its move, and communicated this to them. It is the same thing with management. Mr. Young has already indicated that he personally will not stay, and there are suggestions that other members of executive management might also wish to go. We have our plans for that eventuality, but nobody is being forced out, and the managers are free to stay if they wish. Now, it is only the Fortis shares that we plan to acquire. Remember, SSB has, I think, a 25% shareholding in BEL. So there will be new members appointed to the board to replace the Fortis directors. But the SSB directors and the chairman, appointed long ago by government under the special share, will naturally remain. So will the one other director also appointed by government under the golden share. An interim CEO will be installed immediately to replace Mr. Young, and that interim CEO will be supported by an executive committee of the board. We expect as smooth a transition as possible.
And just like that, exit Fortis Incorporated, enter government. The Prime Minister says he has gotten assurances from union representatives that the workers of BEL are confident that they can make the company successful under the new ownership.
All the skeptics, the chicken littles, that decry a government of Belize takeover on the ground that it will lessen efficiency need to screw their courage to the sticking place. This time, not like before time. The bad old days of political interference in statutory bodies or government-owned companies are gone forever. This administration will not countenance it, and in any case, the citizenry won't stand for it. Neither BWSL nor Telemedia is run along such lines, and that is the proof right there.
Reporting for Love News, I am Patrick Jones.